In my village, everyone knows the story of Prince Adu. It's not the kind of tale told to children to scare them into behaving, it's a warning passed down to keep people alive. I wish I'd listened. Prince Adu lived generations ago, back when the village was ruled by chiefs. He wasn't just cruel, he was the kind of man who enjoyed watching others suffer. If you crossed him, he didn't just punish you, he destroyed you. People spoke of his laughter during executions and how he'd sit under the great baobab tree, picking his teeth as families cried for mercy. But his hunger for power and fear led him to do something unforgivable. There was an old woman who lived at the edge of the forest. She was known as a healer, though some whispered she had powers far beyond herbs and roots. Adu didn't care about her gifts, he cared about the golden amulet she wore, said to bring wealth and strength to whoever possessed it. He demanded it. She refused. They found her hot burned to the ground the next morning. No one saw the old woman again, but they say she cursed him with her last breath. Adu laughed at the idea of curses. For a while, life went on as usual. But then, things started happening. At night, people heard screams coming from the palace. Servants fled, saying Adu was being haunted by shadows that whispered his name. He stopped coming out in the daytime, and when people finally saw him again, he looked wrong. His skin was pale and cracked like dried mud. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark, and his voice, once booming, had turned into a rasp. They found him dead a week later, slumped under the baobab tree. His body was buried in a grave so deep no one thought he could ever rise again. But the village wasn't free of him. Not really. It happened to me when I was 17. My friends and I had dared each other to explore the ruins of the old palace, where Adu's spirit was said to linger. It was just for fun, something to laugh about later. We waited until midnight and snuck out with flashlights, feeling brave and stupid. The palace was nothing more than crumbling walls and overgrown weeds, but the air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest. As we stepped deeper into the ruins, the temperature dropped. One of my friends joked about ghosts, but no one laughed. Then we heard it. A low, dragging sound, like footsteps on dry leaves. We froze, staring into the darkness ahead. That's when we saw him. A tall figure stood in the shadows, wearing tattered robes that barely clung to his skeletal frame. His face, looked like it had been chewed on, with patches of flesh missing and his eyes glowing faintly like dying embers. He wasn't walking. He was gliding, his feet never touching the ground. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The air felt like it had turned to stone. Then he spoke, or maybe he didn't. His lips never moved, but I heard his voice clear as day. Asterisk, you don't belong here. Asterisk. That broke the spell. We bolted, crashing through weeds and broken walls until we were out of the palace. I didn't stop running until I was back in my grandmother's hut, gasping for air. When I told her what happened, she grabbed my arm so tightly it hurt. Never go there again, she said. The prince doesn't rest. He never will. Since then, others have told stories of seeing him near the palace or walking the forest trails at night. Some say he's looking for the amulet. Others say he's punishing anyone foolish enough to disturb his cursed rest. I don't know what he wants, and I don't care to find out. If you ever visit my village, remember this: no matter what you hear, no matter how brave you feel, stay away from the ruins. Prince Adu's spirit is still there, and he's waiting.